Welcome to our 3-acre self-sufficiency farm in the south of England. In this video we're going to take you around our food stores and share a little on how we store many of our crops to see us right through the winter. With the food that Dan and myself grow here, we managed to achieve approximately 80% self-sufficiency all year round. And by this I mean 80% of our total food needs rather than just our fresh produce, which would actually be more like 99%. And we are able to do this because we eat a mostly plant-based diet. The three main ways we are able to achieve this level of self-sufficiency all year round is by freezing many of our summer crops, by still harvesting crops that we can grow here throughout the winter months, and also by dry storing produce that keeps well in a cool environment throughout the winter. And next year I'm going to start canning as well, which I am really excited about. And if any of you guys have got any tips on what the best canner is to buy, or any information on methods or equipment that is really essential, then do please let me know in the comments below. That would be massively appreciated. Okay, so this is our main storage shed, and it's a timber framed building with just a thin layer of insulation and OSB board behind this lovely thick cladding. And that is just enough to keep the area inside frost free for most of the winter weather that we experience here. Our average nighttime temperature here in the south of England is about 4 degrees at night in the winter, but we can go as low as -5. We're actually zone 9A here. But when we do get colder spells of weather, they generally only last about 3 or 4 days, but these are the ones that we have to watch out for. Okay, let's take a look inside. So in true permaculture style, this shed is really stacking functions. It is Dan's music room, his workshop, it's a hangout, it's a general storage space, and it's also our food storage space. We've got a log burner in here, and on those colder nights we will fire the log burner up with just a couple of loads of wood right at the end of the day, which would just bring the temperature up in here enough to stop everything freezing. And generally most of the crops that we've got in here would be happy staying around 4 to 13 degrees. And the temperature does fluctuate in here quite a bit, mostly in the autumn. But it seems to work really well, so we don't get too hung up on trying to keep it at a really specific temperature. We've been storing food in this shed for 3 years now, and we haven't had any major losses. We haven't done anything particularly technical to make it work, but good ventilation is also really important, and so we do have quite a few vents around in here to help keep good airflow. Okay, so first up on these drying racks here, we've got about 50% of the beans and peas that we've grown for shelling, for dried beans. And beans are a really amazing and valuable source of plant protein for us. There's another bag of them here as well. And these are pretty much fully dried, but just before we shell them, we will put them on our drying racks above the fire for probably about 24 hours and just make sure they're completely bone dry, and then they will be stored in glass jars for use over the next year or so. And here we've actually got some pumpkins left from last year. So these were harvested over a year ago, and they have changed colour for sure, but they still haven't completely decomposed yet, which is amazing. And I'm actually just meaning to cut into these and see if they're okay to feed them to our chickens. Down here we've got a couple of crates of elephant garlic, and then also some normal French garlic here, and that just stores really well in a cool, dry place. And one thing as well, these crates have actually got holes in the bottom of them. And then as you can see, we've got a gap for the things that are on the floor. We've actually put them on battens, and that would just help to create a little bit more airflow from underneath as well, which should help in the storage process. Up here, all of this beautiful colour is a year's worth of pumpkins and winter squash, and we have grown some really fun and delicious varieties this year. And again, with pumpkins, the airflow is really important. So as you can see, these are slatted shelves that we've got them on, and then we try and place them so that there's a gap between all of the pumpkins so that they're not actually touching each other, again, so that there's airflow and hopefully reduce chance of any cross-contamination if one pumpkin does go bad. And it is also really important, we find, to check them regularly. So just have a little look every couple of days so that you notice if any pumpkins are going bad, because it gets really messy if one of them does decide to implode or disintegrate, and it will then set other pumpkins off. We have grown probably far more than we actually need this year, but that means it gives us enough to gift some. We will probably sell a few at a local market. And also, I do feel it is really important when you're trying to be self-sufficient that you actually do overgrow, because there will always be some losses, and that might be at the time of planting or before harvest, or it can just be in storage if a certain variety doesn't store so well. Over here, these barrels have got some of the base foodstuffs that we do actually buy in. So this is mainly oats, flour, rice and sugar. That's the main things that we do still buy in to create meals with. And then on top of that, oil as well is really important, and that is something that we I think would be quite difficult to provide for ourselves on a small scale. So I don't know, at this stage that's not something I'm looking at trying. We've got a few apples here in this crate. These are Braeburn apples, and we didn't have so many this year of our late apples. So in the past we have wrapped them to store them, but where there's only a handful, we've thought we'd just see how they go in the crate in the open here. And we've got our sweet potatoes here too. We had an amazing harvest of sweet potatoes this year, and if you would like to see how that went through growing them in our raised beds, then do check out the video. Again, the sweet potatoes are in these crates with air holes in the bottom and the side, so there's good airflow. One of the really important things for storing sweet potatoes and the pumpkins is to cure them off first. So that means leaving them out in a warm place for up to 2 weeks before you then put them into a cold store. And again, ideally, I probably could do with taking a few out of this box, because we have found with storing most tuber crops, storing them in thinner layers is actually better as well. So more like how these crates are kind of stacked. But yeah, we need to get eating some of the sweet potatoes because yeah, we're super stoked to have all of those this year. And then down here, we've got onions. This is 3 crates of onions. One of the really important things for storing both onions and garlic is to make sure that they are fully dried before you put them into storage again. And also to select varieties which are known to store for a longer period of time. I've actually got a white variety in the top here, which isn't such a good storer. So I've made sure I've kept those separate, and we'll use those first and then move on to the variety which is said to be better for storage. One more super important crop that we grow and store when it comes to self-sufficiency is the humble potato. And we've decided to try storing our potatoes in this shed this year. And that is because it stays super dark in here most of the time, and that is really important to stop potatoes turning green. Potatoes really are one of the best and easiest carbohydrates that we can grow for ourselves. And we have got 9 crates of various varieties of potatoes in here. We grow a good combination of potatoes for both baking and roasting, and then also waxy potatoes, which I really love to use a lot of in soups and stews and curries. So potatoes are super important. Now we are going to have to keep an eye on the temperatures in this shed, because we're not sure if it might get too cold in here on those colder nights. We don't want the potatoes to freeze. I think ideally the lowest temperature they should be stored at is around 4 to 6 degrees. So we do have a thermometer down here monitoring this at the moment, and if it does drop off too cold, then we will move the potatoes up to our other storage shed as well. One thing we often wonder about ourselves, and we would love to know your opinion on this. Are we preppers, or is this self-sufficiency? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. All of this food is more than the 2 of us will need, but I do feel that it is a really important part of self-sufficiency to overgrow as a form of safety net. And it is also a really beautiful thing to be able to gift your surpluses or sell them on, which can create an income which can cover other expenses that we would otherwise have to work to earn money for. I do also want to acknowledge that this size piece of land could grow enough food for many more people than just the 2 of us. And if you would like to see more about what crops we'll be harvesting all through the winter months, then stay tuned for next week's video as well. Having this food store which sees us right through winter really is a game changer, because instead of having to spend hundreds of pounds each week in the grocery store, we literally go shopping most evenings in our garden. And that means we get to enjoy beautiful, fresh, nutritious food as well, which is nourishing our bodies even more than what we could buy in the store. And it means that we need to earn less money. So instead we can invest more of our precious time into creating even more here on our land, and also in doing more of the things that we enjoy. We really hope that you've enjoyed this video today, and it's hopefully given you some inspiration and ideas of ways that you can store more food for yourselves as well. If you've got any questions or comments, then drop them down below. We love hearing from you guys, and we would also massively appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up and make sure that you're subscribed to us here at Freedom Forest Life. We look forward to seeing you here again soon. Peace and plants!